You see that little lock icon in your browser literally every single day, right? We're always told it means a website is secure, but what's really happening behind the scenes? What is that little symbol actually doing to protect you? Well, today we're going to pull back the curtain on the tech that guards your entire digital life. So, let me ask you this directly. When you see that lock, do you feel confident your data is truly safe? It seems like a simple question, but honestly, the answer is way more interesting than you might think. Just seeing a lock doesn't automatically guarantee perfect safety. So today, we're going to figure out what makes that lock trustworthy and what kind of dangers it's really protecting you from. Here's our game plan. We'll start by taking a look back at the internet's Wild West days. Then, we'll meet the digital bodyguard that protects us, called TLS. We're going to peek at its secret handshake, see why the modern version of it is so important, and then we'll wrap up with a really practical checklist to help you stay secure.
Okay, so to really appreciate the security we have now, you first have to understand a world without it. Imagine sending a postcard through the mail, right? Anyone who gets their hands on it can read the whole message. That's exactly what the early internet was like. All your information, every password, every message was sent in plain text, just completely out in the open.
And as you can imagine, this created some really serious problems. I mean, anyone on the same public Wi-Fi at a coffee shop could just listen in on everything you were doing. Attackers could literally grab your data out of thin air, mess with it, or even create fake websites that look totally real just to steal your passwords. It was a digital minefield out there.
Let's zoom in on that man-in-the-middle attack, because it's a big one. Think of it like a spy intercepting your mail, reading it, maybe even changing the message, and then sealing it back up and sending it on its way. You and the person you're talking to would have no idea your private conversation was just completely compromised. So how in the world do you stop a spy you can't even see? Well, you stop it with the hero called TLS, which stands for Transport Layer Security. The best way to think about it is like a personal digital bodyguard for your data every time you go online. And it provides 3 core layers of protection against all those threats we just talked about. So TLS really has 3 main jobs. First, there's confidentiality. It scrambles your data into unreadable code, so eavesdroppers are just out of luck. Second is integrity. It's like a digital wax seal, making sure nobody has tampered with your message along the way. And third, authentication. This is what proves the website you're visiting is the real deal and not some sneaky imposter.
Now, you've probably heard the term SSL or SSL certificate thrown around. That was the original protocol. But let's be clear, it's old and it's insecure now. When people say SSL today, what they almost always mean is its modern, way more powerful successor, TLS. It's the engine behind that S in HTTPS that keeps pretty much the entire web secure.
So how does this bodyguard jump into action? It all starts with this incredibly fast process called the TLS handshake. It's like a secret digital greeting that happens in the blink of an eye, all before a single piece of your actual data gets sent. The latest version, TLS 1.3, makes this whole thing incredibly efficient. Your browser and the server basically say hello. They exchange a few unique pieces of info, and they use that to instantly calculate a shared, secret key that only the 2 of them know. From that exact moment on, your whole conversation is locked down tight. And this leads to a really clever feature called perfect forward secrecy. What this means is that for every single session you have online, a brand new, totally temporary secret key is created and then thrown away. Now, why does that matter? It's huge, because even if a hacker somehow managed to steal one key, they couldn't use it to go back in time and decrypt all of your past conversations. Each one is sealed off on its own.
But here's something that is so vital to understand. Not all of these digital locks are created equal. You know, just like a rusty old padlock isn't the same as a modern bank vault, older versions of this protocol are now just dangerously insecure. The technology had to evolve to stay one step ahead of the bad guys.
This timeline really shows the journey. The old SSL versions, they're completely broken. Don't use them. Even the early versions of TLS, 1.0 and 1.1, are now considered obsolete because of known weaknesses. Today, the absolute gold standard, what everyone should be using, is TLS 1.3. It gives you the best security and, actually, the best performance too. So why all the updates?
Well, because hackers are always looking for cracks in the armor. They found these devastating vulnerabilities in older protocols. You might have heard of some of them. They had names like Heartbleed. Heartbleed could literally leak a server's private memory. We're talking passwords, private keys, everything. These weren't just theories. They led to massive data breaches. TLS 1.3 was designed from the ground up to slam the door on these kinds of problems for good.
And the really good news is, the web has totally embraced this new standard. The vast majority of the modern internet has already made the switch to TLS 1.3. This isn't some niche futuristic tech. It's the protection that you are most likely using right this very second.
Okay, so let's bring this all home. We've seen the dangers out there, and we've met the solution. What does this all mean in practical terms for, everyone? From regular users to people who actually run websites?
Look, for any business or website today, using modern TLS is simply non-negotiable. It builds trust, right? Users see the lock. It's often required for legal compliance for things like GDPR. Plus, search engines like Google actually rank secure sites higher in their results. And maybe most important of all, it is the absolute foundation of all secure e-commerce. No TLS, no online shopping.
And for the developers and the system admins out there listening, this is your security checklist. You want to enforce TLS 1.3 everywhere you can. You need to actively go in and disable all those old broken versions. And then use tools to automate and constantly test your setup, because a secure configuration is definitely not a set-it-and-forget-it kind of task.
So that little lock icon, powered by modern TLS, is an incredibly powerful shield for our digital lives. It's protecting us from eavesdroppers, impersonators, and all sorts of manipulators. But as technology rockets forward, so do the threats. And that leaves us with one final big question. How long will today's digital bodyguard be able to stand against the quantum computers of tomorrow? Definitely something to think about.